The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com and GH Graphics and their Junket Apparel line. The 2015 Bash for Cash and Smash It Demolition Derby. Full Lockwood Motorsports and the 2015 Keystone National. Napa Winter Slam 2015 and Derby Inc. magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening. Episode number 61 on deck for the Crash Course. An exciting show. Looking forward to this. Something that we have been waiting on literally for months. We're going to be able to reveal a little bit of that for everybody tonight. Got some new cameras and stuff that I am obviously not used to, but everybody knows I move around a lot. Anyway, so that's I guess that's just part of the deal. So we'll ride on with that. Brian Tompkins here in studio with us. There's look at Justin Gilmartin also hanging out with us tonight. There's Brian. We're going to be talking with Joe Hibbert here in just a few minutes, and he contacted us after last week's show to talk a little bit about the Turkey Bash, and typically we try to get both sides of it if it's going to be something that is going to be controversial, kind of the way that it went last week, Brian. But at the same time, that was sort of a surprise a little bit, and when we have situations like this, as we've sort of tried to trend, we keep the drama and the nonsense off of it and let everybody have each side and let the listeners form their opinion, or we turn around and we say this is our opinion, we don't have any sides on, and say go find your spot. So had a conversation with Joe last week. He said he's a regular listener, which was cool, and we'll talk a little bit with him about Turkey Bash from down there in Amarillo. Oh,
Chris, how you feeling tonight, buddy?
I'm a little anxious. I mean, I'm excited. It's good. This is going to be. I hope that this is as cool as it is in my mind.
Well, you're
not going to be able to know anything about it till 6:30. I'm going to make everybody wait until the second half. Scott Lemke, by the way, is tuning in tonight, so that was neat to get a couple messages from him. He said he wanted a world famous Josh Decker shout out, and when I wrote back to him and said, "I'm not Josh Decker, but I can at least mention your name," he goes, "Cool, thank you." All right, well, Scott, there you go.
I'm just keeping his seat warm.
Yeah. Justin's here. No Ben tonight. I'm not sure if he had a basketball game or not. It's been a hectic week. But you were saying.
Speaking of hectic week, very good friend of the show, Carly Ort from out in Iowa, member of KO Motorsports, was involved in a pretty serious accident last week.
Brutal.
She's had one surgery today. Looking at it, a few more, unfortunately. If the Derby family out there, if you believe in prayers, say a prayer for her. If you don't believe in prayers and you think of good thoughts, think of good thought for her. She's a really great girl. Her and Daniel both had a little bit of stress going on in their lives in the last few weeks. So if you guys can, send a prayer or two and maybe some positive thoughts out that way, it would be awesome. Hopefully maybe they're listening tonight. If you are, guys, big hugs for both of you. Hopefully things start getting better soon. Chris is now trying to call.
We're getting Joe right now.
Joe.
Hey, Joe. It's Chris.
You always look beautiful, Brian Tompkins. It's a pleasure to be in studio with you.
Wow, that just got strange.
Justin does have a bit of a knack for making things strange. there's few things that Justin can't make weird. But, did you see the other news? The other news that was posted online. There's going to be another Redbeard joining the planet.
Yes, I did see that. Congratulations, Josh Buell.
Josh Buell's wife is going to be having a baby.
That's awesome.
So
Congratulations.
It's good news. I love the way that he shared it. We put that post up with a little baby
with a beard.
Red beard on.
What was funny too is he put up a picture from a couple years ago at Bash for Cash, and he had a normal beard, and now he looks kind of like Santa Claus. But
right,
it was funny to see him back. A couple years ago, it was just kind of
It's hard to see behind all those boxes of Keystone.
Yeah, there was definitely a couple beer boxes, cases of beer in front of them.
Wow. They know how to have a good time.
Yes,
they know how to build cars.
Yes, they do.
You know who else knows how to have a good time? Outlaw Promotions. They put on Turkey Bash every year, a couple shows out that direction. Joe Hibbert, man, welcome to Crash Course.
Hey, Mom.
Can you hear me, Joe?
Yes, sir.
All right, there we are. Hey, man, welcome to the show. We had a good talk there Tuesday last week after the show aired, and you had a couple things that you wanted to touch on, talk a little bit more about Outlaw Promotions and stuff, and obviously there was some discussion last week about how everything played out with Brody Brown coming away with the win, and I wanted to kind of first give you the opportunity to share your side of it. I know, and let me preface this before we go anywhere. Not at any point in the conversation that I had privately, nor on the conversation that I expect we're having tonight, are you going to hear anything bad about Brody Brown. Joe was very complimentary of Brody and his team in our conversation off the air last Tuesday.
Right, and for us to promote the sport, I'm not going to talk bad about any shows or any drivers because we're trying to make this sport grow, and that's the only way it's going to grow, with people talking positive about shows and things that's going on.
Right.
Like I said, I'd like to explain to you a little bit how our show works.
Sure.
First of all, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but when you come to our show, what you do is you go ahead and check in, sign all your paperwork, and then we take the inspections away from that area and go off to where we only require one person to come with the car, either the driver or the builder. That's their choice. And when they go through the inspections, they're sitting there talking to our officials, and we're one-on-one, where we're not yelling and we don't have people cheerleading it on.
Right.
So a lot of the reason I like that is there's a lot of good builders out there, and they got secrets. And as long as they're in the building the car correctly, I don't feel it's my responsibility to let everybody else know what they're doing.
Sure.
So when it goes across the scales, and that particular car went across, and it was built very well. To the T. All the welds were beautiful. Everything was perfect, but it wasn't legal. And the first thing out is I said, let's move up a class. And at my shows, you can move up. If you don't make it in the lower classes, you can get bumped up if you don't want to cut on your cars. And in this particular show, we had an outlaw class, and people were allowed to come up. Basically they wanted to keep trying to get their car in, and I told them I didn't think it would make it. They kept bringing it across. It came across multiple times. I felt I was more than fair. At one point, I had the driver convinced to go up the class. It was already sticked. I thought it was done. And then they brought it back to the drivers, wanted to go through a decision and vote on it. I told them I wasn't real thrilled about it, but if they wanted to push it, then if they didn't make it, then they wasn't going to have that opportunity to push it up because it had already been across 5 or 6 times.
Right.
Like I said, we were very professional about how we did it. I didn't downgrade him or tell him, he was doing something terrible or anything like that. And we just tried to keep it positive. That's what we try to do at our shows.
How important from a promoter's perspective is it to talk to drivers with a degree of respect? I mean, that's one of the things we've heard from. We've heard that from Ben a number of different times, and you guys as drivers have both brought up that point as well.
Well, and these guys are the bread and butter of our show. You don't want to sit there and make them feel like that they're being, jumped on, or we're trying to make them feel bad about what's going on. We want to make them feel welcome.
Right.
And I feel like whenever we're in that situation, a one-on-one, they feel better because they don't have people looking at their cars. They don't feel exposed.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I kind of like the one-on-one inspections. And we have exceptionally good facilities down there to put this show on.
It is a really nice facility.
It did.
From your perspective, where's the sport? I mean, you got a pretty good set of rules in terms of what you allow. Your limited well set of rules for that neck of the woods. It seems to be drawn fairly well. Where's the sport with all these independent shows that are cropping up outside of the county fairs, and with the way the rules are trending, and you've got the compact guys that are getting heavier builds, and there seems also to be a pretty strong movement to trend back towards stock. Where do you think, from your perspective, the sport's at?
Well, right now in our area, it is really tough to find cars. I know some people, in my area, people drive 3 hours to go to the show, and that's the average.
Right.
We're kind of out here in a sparse area. So the people out here don't have a lot of time to build multiple cars. I'm lucky to get maybe 2 cars out of most drivers. So if you run multiple shows, they want to be able to run more than just one show with their car. And that's what we try to do, is we try to make the rules so that they can run them more than once. And I think the sport, as far as the way things are changing, Bumpers are harder to find, special bumpers. That's why we allow them to make their own bumpers within reason. There is a holdback on what we can do. Axles are getting harder to find, so we allow them to run floaters. Everything we try to do out in our area, we try to make it economical. So if there's a rule change or something like that, it's so that the average person can build. I'm not taking away anything from the people that produce aftermarket stuff. I'm just saying that if you want to make it yourself, you can actually do it and be competitive.
I mean, that's good. I think, I've seen a few other small promoters or, some other of the, guys that do a lot of the local fairs and stuff. Joker's a guy down North Carolina. He kind of, his builds are kind of that where, there isn't the guys there that spend the, the crazy money on the protectors and all that good stuff. And, those derbies are, I mean, you have to have, in my humble opinion, you have to have rules, that fit the area you're in. I mean, you're not going to, if the guys aren't going to build $15,000 cars, and you can't have build rules like that. I mean, you have to have rules to, what works for your area. And I think that's really what's best for the sport.
You look at some of the rules and stuff that are out there, and people are the champion of that cause, no matter where they are. And a lot of that comes back to, it really comes to where, how dumb you sound depends on what part of the country you're standing in. To go out east of here and northeast of here and say that I want to run a limited weld show, they're going to think that you're out of your mind. But at the same time, you go down into Pennsylvania and you want to run a limited weld show, you got plenty of company. You go into Ohio, say that you want to run a limited weld show.
You better hold on.
You don't have enough welding wire.
No, sure don't.
And
and that's what we kind of had to do out in our area. Our rules have been kind of, at first we started with what the drivers wanted to do because obviously they make my show, so I have to cater to what they want to build. And that's what people have kind of liked our rules, and then we look back east and see what the trends are. We try to change a few things, but I also want to make sure it's fair so that people don't feel like, okay, I can't run this show unless I have a Crown Vic, or I can't run this show unless I have a Suicide, or I can't run this show unless I have a Caprice, or whatever the deal is. I want to make sure my rules go across the board where everybody has a fair chance.
When you said cars are getting hard to find, is that derby snobbery where you're only looking for old iron stuff, or cars are actually that difficult to track down? Can you still find 80s cars and run those?
Well, what's happening is out here in the Midwest, we had a couple of droughts.
Right.
So what caused is iron prices went high. A lot of people went out there and they wasn't making good money farming, so they started scrapping the old fence rows and stuff like that.
Right.
So a lot of the old iron started disappearing. And then on the other side of it, you know what good cars go for in your area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you have a derby out here and the kids through these fair board ideas, they want to give a $500 to win demolition derby. It's kind of a joke to say that because nobody's going to build a car to run it for $500 to win when somebody back east will give them $1,500 for an Impala that has no rust on it.
Yeah.
And a lot of my drivers will sit there and say, well, I can make more money just selling all my cars to somebody back east, and I don't have to build them or anything like that. And that's what's kind of hurt us out here is a lot of people that are sitting on 60 and 70 cars, they can make more money selling them to somebody else than they can run them in the shows.
Well, I doubt. I mean, that's definitely got to be. I mean, a big persuasion. I mean, if you have a stable of cars and you do see what people are paying for them, across the country, I mean, it's hard. That's guaranteed money. I mean, up here, this part of the area, up and down the East Coast, people say $1,500 for an Impala, and they're running for it.
Right.
I mean, if you have 20 Impalas, that's a pretty good payday. I mean, I don't care who you are, that's a pretty good payday.
Right.
I mean, it's definitely tough. I mean, it's there's definitely sometimes derby is its own worst enemy. I mean, but
it was interesting to see hear the flip side of it the other night when I was talking to Joe. You always know the bigger prices up here, but you never see the effect of the southern states.
Yeah.
What happens when their car prices are so cheap? We think it's a great deal to go down there, but when they're left with nothing, what do they do? And the payout of the shows, like he said,
and it's nothing against you guys. You get excited. You come down in our area and you pick up 6 cars and you head back east and go, man, I got all these cars. I'm set for mayhem. I'm set for this and that. I look at it as a promoter. I just lost 6 cars in my area. They're gone.
Yep.
I can't replace them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I've never thought of that. I mean, as a driver and a buyer, you never think that way, but that makes a lot of sense.
And you wonder when you're going to start seeing or hearing on WeCrash or Facebook, we're not going to let this car leave. I know the money's good, but if people want derbies to last longer in that area, how long is it going to be before you see no Northerners coming in? I mean,
the thing is though, is I think I think you're starting to see it more places. Is that some places have run out of the Impalas, the Cadillacs. For us Mopar guys, the Shockers. So they've went to a second tier. They've went to Cordobas. They've went to Monte Carlos. They've went to the Pontiacs.
All the stuff that used to be trade collateral and scrap metal is now getting a second look.
Yeah, because you gotta. I mean, that's what it's come down to, and it's not a knock against any of those cars because we just saw some Cordobas do well.
Jason Dials.
Yeah, Jason Dials, Bandow. I mean, his is very tough, and but it's. I think that's what you see is. I think when Derby is a sport of necessity, and that when you need to run a car.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you'll look at
necessity.
it. Yeah, you'll look at it and say, man, this is all I got. I got to make it work.
Right.
And again, that's where the engineering and all the tech, the technique.
The expansion of the rules have allowed the Buicks, Olds, the Pontiacs, different Chryslers, you haven't really seen a lot of Fords up here coming in.
No.
You'll start seeing that, but the rules are going to
They're
start.
out there.
Yeah. I know I've seen not a bunch of them, but a few guys picking them up, but I haven't seen a whole.
That is one
the
thing.
Patents.
The
patents in Woodstock and Shenandoah County. Those guys and Sean Gokenauer too. Those guys know their 70s. Fords. No, they know their 70s Fords, and they are scary.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I mean, if I was just started saying, thinking about it, I think we saw everything at Blizzard Bash except I didn't see a mid-70s Ford out there.
No. We saw a '66 Mustang, which I hadn't seen yet.
We did, yeah. That was one off the list, but
I mean,
there. But you think about it. A mid-70s LTD is a full-frame car.
Yes, sir.
And there's holes for like 18 extra body bolts in them. And I know years ago, Gary Brown ran
Actually, I might have to mute you because you're talking a little bit too much.
Gary Brown.
There's a lot of guys in Virginia that are getting really upset with you.
Gary Brown ran one at Cuba and did excellent with it. I don't think he ever bent the front end.
Broke the New Yorker bumper off the front.
Yeah, broke a New Yorker bumper. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, sooner or later, people are, they're going to start running them. I mean, obviously, Sean is, very pro Ford, and they do great with them down there. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the things. I mean, that's going to happen because sooner or later stuff's going to. I mean, look at the Crown Vics. I mean, that's somebody ran one of those and bent it sky high, and they brought it in their shop and figured out why it bent sky high. And somewhere there's a picture Josh showed us of Mike Brown sitting in a garage looking at a bare frame he had a pad of paper in his hand. I mean, the stuff that was going on there, and we watched him run his car very hard at Blizzard Bash, and it never bent. But that's what guys do. I mean, they sit down and start looking at stuff. And
the one thing about DMP is they'd run their cars so hard at Blizzard Bash that they knock their own wheels off.
Yeah,
I mean, they run hard.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, they were going so fast across that they would get bouncing. I mean, it was amazing, and they would break tires off. But
and if they hit the hole right and stood on it,
hard, it would pull a wheelie. yeah, it was definitely something. Speaking of that.
One thing you got to worry about, and that's what I worry about as a promoter with my rules and things. If you allow one class to just run with it, and you've got everything, let's say the Crown Vics right now, they're kind of ruling the roost. 10 years ago, I had people come up to me and they said, hey, if I can't find a Chevy Caprice, I don't want to run because I don't have a chance.
Right.
Or if I can't find a round-back wagon, there's no reason for me to build a car. And that's what we got to watch, is not to discourage the next generation from building, because they don't have the premier car.
That's exactly where Demolition Derby is, though. I mean, when everybody started getting the wagons outlawed, they transitioned into the sedans, and when the sedans started getting hard to find, they transitioned into the four doors, and that's when Buick really, the Electras really had their heyday. When the Electra market went really high, we started seeing more people, at least in our neck of the woods, moving towards the Malibus and the Cutlasses and things along those lines. Which
and that's the thing. I mean, that
it's constantly when the market goes too high on something, the next car of choice comes and makes its jump. Now T-Birds are starting to gain a lot of momentum in different pockets, and the Imperial prices are back way down to being reasonable.
you know, and Josh and I have talked about that, you know, when we've talked about it on air, Josh and I really don't get that, you know, when we started, it wasn't, you know, if I can't get this, I can't run because I'm going to lose. I think the older generation said, all right, this is what I can get. I'm going to go down and do the best I can, and I'm going to take my whooping, and I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to move on. But nowadays, you know, people getting into the sport don't do that, you know, and it just, a lot of people don't do that, you know, and it's, you know, I mean, I
told me a long time ago that you give me 5 of anything, by the time I get to the 5th one, I'll figure it out how to run it.
Right.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I know Josh, and Josh, where Josh grew up and still lives. I mean, for whatever reason, that was the Mopar country of Central New York. I mean, you'd go to their hometown fairs and there would be nothing but boxcar Imperials, and you know. So I mean, he grew up with that stuff. I mean, I'm sure he's run some junk over the years, but you know, I mean, you start out young, and you know, you take your lumps and learn and move on.
How many guys have we seen when they're buying cars that they've never run before? They buy them in pairs or in triples. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're a prime example, Brian. You bought one car, and then you picked up a second one just in case you liked it, or if there's something else that you wanted to try.
And the price was right.
Well, that helped.
You're welcome.
Thanks, buddy. But
that was the Cadillacs, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's been well enough documented where we can acknowledge the fact that Brian has a fleet of Cadillacs now. He's got one that's pretty much junk and another one that doesn't have any glass.
No, it's got glass.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, doesn't have a clip on it.
Oh,
the first one isn't junk yet. That may see another run. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You know, it's just kind of one of those things you got to do. I mean, it's, you know, I think if you put enough work into anything, you know, within a good set of rules, you can compete.
well, I think we saw that. I think we saw that at Blizzard Bash pretty effectively. I mean, look at the diversity of cars that ran there.
Absolutely.
And they all ran
well,
very well. They're very competitive.
Well, coming from the younger generation, sometimes it's hard. When I went out and watched the Derby, I always saw the Impala that won, the roundback that won. So I never got the chance to buy $50 Impalas and $200 roundbacks. I had to search around a little bit and find the car of the day. I never got the chance to experiment with cheap cars. So when you're young and you don't have a lot of money,
But the thing is, though, is that was by choice. I mean, you didn't. You went and watched, and you could have bought a squareback Chevy wagon for $150 and ran that.
Yes, yeah, I did that too. So.
But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, my first Derby car was my first road car, and then from there, the next year, I think I bought maybe an LTD. I mean, I ran a Torino. I've ran 2 LTDs. You know, I 3 or 4 squareback Chevy wagons, a Buick wagon. I mean, I took all the, you know, I ran a lot of junk before I got to a good car, and then
Joe, you're young. You're young contingent. You're young guys that are just coming in. What are they driving? Are they driving new stuff, or are they scrounging up old iron?
Well, most everybody's finding the new stuff. First of all, they don't like to deal with the old issues as far as rust and trying to do all the tricks to them to make them work.
Wait a minute. There's rust in Texas? How can there be rust in Texas?
Kansas.
Oh, Kansas?
Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma. I run the Midwest area. Right. We kind of run out here in no man's land. And there's, unfortunately, just because there's a roundback out here didn't mean it didn't come from the East Coast.
Yeah,
eventually, people will get out in this area, and the worst thing you could do is you see this roundback sitting in their backyard, and you go, oh, man, you got to go talk to him, you know, and you're all excited, and you go up and look at it, and they go, oh, well, where did it come from? Well, what do you want for it? And they go, oh, well, I got this job. We lived in California, or we lived in, you know, out on the West Coast, and we came out here, and we brought it out here, and we just parked it in the back. And you get all excited, and you come up there, and there's nothing there. It's just a shell.
There's no
floor. You know, with no frame, no nothing, and it's like false advertising, you know.
That's got to be one of the worst feelings for everybody that lives in the Midwest and the South, to walk up to a car that's sitting in somebody's backyard, and when they walk up to it, it has a New York plate on it. It's like, oh no!
I have experienced
it. Of it. You always love when someone comes up to you and they said, "Hey, I've got my grandma's car, and it was this old car. Can you come by and look at it?" And you go, "Well, what do you want for it?" And they go, "Well, we want $50 for it if we can get that for it." And
sold.
And can you come by and look at it? And you go over there, and all of a sudden they show you a '77 Chrysler New Yorker with a pointy on it, and you're sitting there going, "Okay, do you want cash or do you want a check or do you need me to remove it right now? You know, and they're like, well, are you sure you can derby it? And you're like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm good with it. You know, I'll get it out here as soon as possible. And then you get on the trailer, and the first thing you do is you take pictures of it and post it on the internet for all your friends to see it and say, look what I found.
Are you sure you can derby? Yeah, I'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah, everybody hopes for that. Everybody hopes for the steal. But like Ben just texted me, obviously he's listening at home at the moment. You know, right now with everything's all the information's on the internet, and there's so much of it that leans towards the VIX. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean that's why they've become the car of the rage. I mean, you know, right now they're cheap. You know, you can build them. You know, it basically tells you how to build a good VIC. I mean, I don't think you're going to learn what you need to run at Blizzard Bash on the internet. You know, I think those guys, got a corner on it. Yeah, or Bash for Cash. But I mean, you can build a competitive Crown Vic from what you learn on the internet, and then trial from error from there. You know, but
just like a promoter when you're putting your rules out there, I don't know how other people feel, but you know, you can be very specific on the rules, but I don't like it where somebody can read your rules and know how to build a car, because I guess I come from an older era that I feel like you need to put your dues, or you need to learn how to build cars to really to respect the sport.
Justin and I had this exact conversation talking about the rule set that tells you how to build your car, and you need to leave room for creativity, but when you leave room for creativity, it turns into gray area. Gray areas get exploited, and it's this constant, this infinite argument that's a complete circle that catch-22, no matter which way you go. Well, you're giving too much one side or another.
Well, I said my generation. Well, your generation, the older drivers. A lot of the older drivers have come in and started being the head inspectors now of a lot of shows that have ran for years. And you guys know how a car bends. You've been running the cars long enough to know what it takes to build it. And the rules now, instead of back in the day where you could fill in the gray areas, it's more, this is how you build a car. It's not, here's what you can do. And I like being creative. I like to sit in the garage just like Mike Brown, Pete Hansen, look at a car and see what I can do to it. I don't like being told this is what you can do. And I understand sometimes it gets carried away, but that's one of the best things about Demolition Derby is you can be creative. You can take an Impala, notch it in 2 spots, and make it roll perfectly.
Well, and that's the thing is when we were in when we were in Topeka, obviously we've touched on that there was some cars that kind of stirred up the inspection line, and after the fact, I was talking with Troy Tagg. And he is just such a knowledgeable guy.
Do they rhyme with black and van?
Just such a knowledgeable guy, and he has such a great outlook. He goes, as a promoter, he goes, what you got to do with something like that. It's like, congratulations, you have found my gray areas and you have exploited those gray areas, but you've also given yourself a competitive edge, and now you have to fix it. Because, yes, you do have to let guys, it's almost, again, my opinion, but it's almost to where you have to say, okay, this is the rule, and I know this gray area is here, and guys are going to play in this gray area, but this is as far as it's going to go, and then from there on, they got to fix it to get back to where we can run.
We got people listening at home that are all over this topic. Eric Moulet says the Derby driver gets penalized for coming up with good ideas, and that's an interesting take on it, but it's 100% true.
And it's true.
And Jack Clark says that Pete Hansen's going to beat up a gray area, which is also very accurate.
Absolutely.
There's no inaccuracy there.
Fault them on it, you get in trouble because everybody says, well, you're not being fair because you're calling them on this, but nobody wants. You don't want to be in a demolition derby where it's not as level playing field as possible.
Yeah, I think it was pretty well summed up earlier tonight when Brian said that demolition derby is at times its own worst enemy.
That's that's what it comes down to. I mean, I would if the cars are fair to the best ability of the inspector, then let's put it on the track and see who can drive. Because I've said it 100 times, you can have the best of everything. If you sit sideways in the middle of the track, you're going to get junked.
Doesn't matter.
The only thing you cannot buy is driving talent.
That's right.
And it's proven in every motorsport.
Brian Tompkins' caddy will come right through you.
I don't know about all that.
If he can find the heavy pedal, it might.
If I could.
Oh.
If I could find it.
Now, Justin, you told me that once you can't run old iron anymore, you're all done because you you want to run the cars that you saw.
I grew up watching.
That's not true. He's
Run-
he's
hang
building
on,
a
hang
90
on,
HD.
hang
Or is
on,
that a secret? Sorry, buddy.
Hang on.
Okay.
He wants to run the cars that he saw run when he was growing up, not drive the cars that he was riding in on the way to the Derby.
Yes.
Which I have not come across anybody else that's got that perspective.
I love watching the old era. There's nothing like sitting in 70s GMs, 60s Chryslers, 70s. I hate sitting inside. I've bought in 2 or 3 newer Fords, and I've started stripping them, and I'm like, I just lose interest so fast stripping them, and then you're just looking at it, and then right outside you got a 74 Electra that you're staring at, and you're just like, yeah, I can't build this. I'm pulling the Electra.
Man, if only you said, man, if only I was up old neat in the mouse pee on the back seat of that car, man. That would be that would really.
That's another downside of new cars. You don't find as much of the droppings and all the cool stuff under carpet you did in the old cars. And
Joe, what's the coolest thing you found stripping a car?
What's the coolest thing?
Yeah.
I used to buy a lot of cars that were brought in from impounds. So, no title, the typical
Right.
stuff, give them scrap price, you get to go home with it. The first car I got was an Eldorado, and now I'm showing my age because front-wheel drive, that was the key back in the early 70s, and I had a 76 Cadillac Eldorado, and went to go buy it, and it was $200, and my dad screamed. He goes, we never paid $200 for a derby car. This is ridiculous. And if you know about scrapping cars or your derby car, you bring it home, and the first thing you do is you pop the trunk, and everybody scatters to grab everything inside of it. And we brought this car home. I popped open the trunk, and here was a whole set of Craftsman wrenches and tools in a toolbox.
nice.
Dad grabbed it, walked away, and he says, we're even.
Bringing that up, Ben ran I think it might even been the same year. He ran an Eldorado, and they found something cool on that too. It was his father-in-law's car, and it only had like 39. It didn't have a lot of
That's
miles.
that yellow
on it.
one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it sat up behind his father-in-law's house, and his father-in-law was a big dude. I mean, he was probably 3 inches taller than me, just a big dude. And Ben had asked him about that car because he had dated Stacy and then eventually got married. Asked, and you're not demoing my car. You're not demoing my car. Finally, his father-in-law goes up, and for whatever reason, I don't know if he's going to try to get the car run or not, opened the hood, and on top of the air cleaner laid coiled up a snake. And he slammed the hood down, went to the house, and I'm pretty sure Ben took that car out of there that day. It was his demo car.
That happened. That happened at Ontario County this year in Canandaigua with the that car that they auctioned off as a benefit for Andy Wolfhanger.
Yep.
That thing, and I'm glad I heard about this after the fact because snakes are not anything that I want to mess around with. If it doesn't have legs, it's the devil. It's pretty much written in the books. You can know that. And I guess there was snakes crawling out from underneath that all day.
Really?
Yeah, like all day. Like they were closing doors and they were shaking them out. They were pulling away and they're flying off the back. No thanks. I want no part of that.
The two best things I found is I got a car that originally came out of Geneva. It was a 68 Chrysler Newport, and I got it to my parents and started stripping it in beer cans, like Schlitz malt liquor and like the big old school beer cans.
Right.
I pulled them out. There's like 3 of those. And then I started pulling knives out. And I brought like 40 knives, like big old knives out from underneath the seat. And then another car I brought home and started stripping it out, and the ashtray pops open. And I looked, and it was the old school ashtray. I mean, it was big and deep, and it was probably three quarters full of what appeared to be like the butt ends of joints. It was a 70-something Mercury, and I'm like, imagine that. It's hard to believe that somebody would ever actually operate a car smoking that stuff driving down the road. But they were the two neatest things I found in cars.
Some people's children.
Some people's children.
Yeah.
Well, one time I went to a show, and you know how back in the olden days, you just pretty much took the glass out of it, moved things, and
I still do that.
you didn't take a lot of time stripping them out. And the guy was out there running this Buick, and all of a sudden, these silver things started popping out in the middle of the arena. Everybody couldn't figure out what it was, and after the Derby was over there, we went out there, and there was quarters everywhere. What had happened is somebody had rolls of quarters in the bottom of the trunk, where nobody really reached down in there in the day, And when they ripped out the bottom quarter panel, these quarters started zinging out, and they were all over the arena. All these quarters were strung all over the arena.
That's crazy.
That's funny.
You get on We Crash back in the day, and they had a post for
Yeah,
this
strange
on
as
there.
stuff. Red.
And some guys $1,500 that paid for the car plus some, and it's just like, why can't I ever find a car like that? They always take it with them before I get it.
Now that I have the boys, I get a car home, and they do a lot of the stripping. All the loose change they can find is theirs, and they found $1 worth or $2 worth or whatever, and they're just in heaven. So, it's kind of neat for the kids to do.
Whatever makes them happy, I suppose, right?
Absolutely. But he talked about walking up on a round back and having no floors. I remember peeling the carpet out of cars and floorboard coming up with it and going,
Yikes.
yeah, what are you gonna do? It's I had to.
What's the worst that could happen?
What's the worst gonna happen? I did all right.
Joe, when's your season start back up again?
We start up in late May. We'll start up with a 2-man team show, and then we've got some other odd men stuff, and then we always finish up with our turkey bash down in Amarillo.
Nice.
If somebody would have told me that it would have been 85 degrees at the end of November, I would have told them they were nuttier than fruitcake.
I would have loved to see 85 degrees at any point in November, because even when we were on the road, it was still awful chilly.
We were actually getting sunburned, and when we were inspecting the cars, and I'm like, wow.
Oh,
December 1st.
Steve Bucknam's listening. His dad still has a quarter that he keeps with him, and it hit him in the helmet during a derby 25 years ago, landed in his lap, and he still has it. So
I bet you won the derby.
I don't know. He didn't say that. He just mentioned that he still has the quarter. I think that's pretty cool. But is anybody, before we let you go, Joe, is there anybody that you wanted to make mention of that helps keep Outlaw Promotions going?
Well, I'd like to thank my wife and my kids. It's all a family operation. And if anybody's curious what goes on, you can go to outlawpromotions.com. But if they ever get a chance to come down for Southern hospitality, they really need to check out the Turkey Bash. It's in a really nice town. It's got good roads getting there. It's a growing show. You can tell that the stadium is awesome because it's not an ice rink or something that was converted into it. It's actually the #1 equestrian facility in the United States. It's a full-size plus rodeo arena that's dirt all the way through. We have a indoor pit that's lighted and flat floor, all heated and everything. So, come down and enjoy the Southern hospitality and look us up because, like I said, it's a whole different experience coming down in our area because it's all family, and our shows, we try to keep it family operated. You will not be afraid to bring your kids down in our pits or see what's going on because we want to try to keep it to where I don't know if people realize this, but when they're at a show, putting on a show, the next derby drivers that are out there are sitting in the grandstands watching how we present ourselves. And if we're out there kind of making ourselves look like jerks, when they're sitting up there with their mom's going to sit there and say, hey, I'm not going to allow you to do this sport. And that's what kills our sport, when we sit there and we don't make it a family organization, because that's what makes things great about this sport. It is family. Like you said, you had your kids out there stripping your cars. Everybody started that way. They started stripping or running around with somebody, and then they got to drive, and then they got eventually to help people build their own cars. So that's all I got to say to keep the sport going. And I enjoyed being on the show. I really enjoy what you guys are doing, and keep up the good work.
Hey,
Thank
man,
you.
I appreciate that a ton. We'll keep in touch for sure. Let us know how things are going through the course of the off season, and any new dates or anything spring up. Let us know. We'd be glad to keep in touch.
All right, I appreciate it, and I really enjoyed talking with you guys. Had a great time.
Good,
Have
Joe.
a good one.
Glad to hear it, man. Take care.
Bye.
We'll see you later, Joe. There goes Joe Hibbert from Outlaw Promotions. Justin had something quickly before we get into
Paying bills.
paying bills. That's right.
Well, no, Joe, I was talking to him the other night on the phone, and he was talking about how the Texas arena is like equestrian, and there's a lot of horse shows and stuff. And he was saying something about he put on the turkey bash there for the first time, and like Peter or somebody called him up and asked him what they were doing with the turkeys, because they never heard of a demolition derby.
Wow.
That's great. I love it.
Well, hey, I think maybe what we'll do is we'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about this stuff, and we'll be right back with you.
Get ready for Napa Winter Slam. Napa Auto Parts will bring you the coolest outdoor derby of 2015, scheduled for February 7th at the Blue Earth County Fairgrounds in Garden City, Minnesota. Promoters Randy Maslowski and Jeremy Ertman have tons in store for the earliest outdoor derby of the year. The headline class will pay $1,500, with the Compacts, 80 stock, and the event's new truck division each paying $1,000 to win. There will also be most aggressive and longest tow awards, and at this point, all classes are full with only a few vending spots remaining. In the event of weather complications, officials have booked February 14th as a rescheduled date, but only if needed. So come out, get swarm, and break up your winter with a 4-division derby featuring some of the top derby talent in the Upper Midwest. Green flags are at 2, and Buster's Sports Bar and Grill has been locked in for the after party again this year. For more information, visit Napa Winter Slam's Facebook page or contact Randy Maslowski or Jeremy Ertman via their social media pages. And you thought last year was huge. The Bash for Cash returns to the Demolition Derby limelight Memorial Day weekend 2015. Every bit of action is returning, and there's some more added in. DerbyParts.com is back with the 80s newer class paying $11,000 to win. DerbyTees.com is back, paying the turn back the clock winner $10,000. And now the Compacts are cashing in, vying for at least $3,000 in their championship event. Action is planned for May 23rd and 24th, again at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Early inspections are planned for Friday, May 22nd. For a full rundown of the schedule and divisions, visit www.smashitderby.com. Bo Lockwood Motorsports is primed for a huge 2015 season. Having expanded to include 4 massive shows, Bo Lockwood and his team look to change the face of Demolition Derby in western Pennsylvania. Their schedule opens May 9th at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds in Brookville, Pennsylvania. It will include one of the richest stock shows around, paying $5,000 to win and $400 to start. The card includes full payback lawnmowers and separate $500 to win truck and compact one-and-done events. Attention then turns to the all-new Keystone Nationals, now being hosted as a standalone event June 27th at the Westmoreland County Fairgrounds in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. The limited well division winner will pocket $10,000, and every feature starter is guaranteed $400. A $1,000 to win stock event will be joined by a $1,000 to win compact feature and full payback lawnmowers and the debut of the Power Wheels. The focus then goes back to Brookville, July 18th, for the $3,000 to win Jefferson County Championships in Brookville, Pennsylvania, and the season concludes July 25th with a return to the Clarion County Fairgrounds in Clarion, Pennsylvania. All green flags drop at 6 p.m. and Bo Lockwood has more announcements to come, so stay tuned to Bo Lockwood and Bo Lockwood Motorsports on Facebook.
And we're back. Whoops, where'd Brian go? How about that? There we go. There's Brian.
You got me. No, we don't.
There we'll just do that. Now we'll do that. Now we got him. Now we got that. We had to get that figured out a little bit. But I think we covered everything. We got everybody in.
You good?
Yes, we are good. Now
sure?
we just got to figure out, make sure the outro plays, and we should be in good shape. So what should we do first? We promised everybody some news. Got a couple things.
I wish I was talented enough to do a drum roll.
We don't need to do that.
We do.
So
it's pretty big.
No. So we last week you saw the post that I put up on Facebook, and that we finally had everything lined up, and Crash Course Podcast is going on the road, offering pay-per-view in 2015. We are going to be blowing the lid off this. It's going to debut May 9th, so you can watch live Bo Lockwood stock show from Brookville, Pennsylvania at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds via pay-per-view. The Keystone Nationals will also be on pay-per-view via Crash Course Podcast, the pay-per-view live streams. We're working on a couple other shows. This has been a project that has been months in the making. There's still some work left to do, but I feel confident with where we are in the testing process. Everything has worked smooth. You probably thought that was the direction that we were going. After we did that test in New Alex, we brought a whole bunch of new equipment with us to Topeka. You saw some of that stuff in action. Some of the stuff didn't get to New York in time, so we bought backups and had it shipped directly to Jimmy Johnson's house. And luckily, all the pieces that we didn't bring with us that we needed to have there showed up at Jimmy's house, and he was able to get them to us at the Kansas Expo Center. And the parts and pieces are aligned. Crash Course Podcast will be offering pay-per-view next year. I'm excited about it. It's been something that we've wanted to do, and it's a rewarding thing. I can't say thanks enough to everybody that's been so supportive of everything that we've been working on up to this point, and there's been a lot of struggle headache and challenge. There's obviously been some delays because we've had to go through and test stuff but here we are crossing this bridge. It's some deep water, but we're going to dive in as just as quick as we can, and here we go. You know what I mean? I'm really excited about it.
And that's as part of kind of what we set out to do was to help grow the sport. Hopefully getting pay-per-view. Maybe there's a possibility we can get some other advertisers in. Some bigger advertisers. We're kind of working on that as we go. But that's the thing is we've had a lot of support. I mean, just amazing support from so many people out there. And we just we ask for your continued support. There may be a bump or two on the road, but Chris Marquardt is the hardest working guy in Demolition Derby, and we will, if there's a bump on the road, we're going to do our best to smooth it out. Obviously, Josh and Ben aren't here right now. They're both also very excited about where this road is leading. It's going to be cool. I mean, I don't think there's any real true Derby fan that doesn't want to see more derbies. Maybe you're not able to travel, for whatever reason you can't get to a big show. Hopefully we can, we can kind of help out there, kind of feed the need and bring you guys some shows. Chris and Josh and Ben did a great job at New Alex. I couldn't tell you how many thousands of people turned in to watch that. That was amazing, for what they did there. But again, things went really well in Topeka. I'm kind of, I guess I don't know what the word is, but I expect it to work. Is what I guess I'm trying to get out. I think things are going to go good. We're on our way up, and hopefully everybody's happy.
It's something that required a lot of testing, and we certainly aren't out of the woods yet. And we're going to try and keep the pay-per-view price low, and by keeping that low, hopefully we can get more people in the fold and get more people exposed to it that might not necessarily have seen a show from the East Coast before, but at the same time we're not limiting ourselves to the East Coast either.
No.
We're certainly looking at branching out. We've entertained. This is something that a lot of people have asked us about. Do you have the capacity to live stream a show? Can you do this? And now we can definitively answer yes, we can. There's a couple more pieces that need to come together before we can start putting tickets out there. So the folks that did know about this ahead of time, that were asking a little bit more about it. Hang on one second. I got a question here from a buddy, Nate Middendorf. He ran in the trucks division at Blizzard Bash. He had a question. Let's see. Are we going to record the pay-per-view so that people driving in the show can watch and hear what's said? Yes. It is going to be recorded on demand, and we're also going to make available. Obviously, we'll make available if they want DVDs that'll be produced off of that as well. I don't know if we're going to be able to continue to always do the in-car cameras for the final DVD project because I'm going to be busy. And, but yes, it is going to be available. One of the next step that is coming that everybody can look for is by the middle of January, we should have all the accounts in place so that you can go and begin getting acclimated with the system by going on, and you'll be able to view features from 2014. You can basically buy whole shows, or I'm going to put some stuff out there that's just accessible as we learn that system a little bit better. And get more acclimated to that. That way we can sort of get a lot of the troubleshooting stuff and new user acclimations done and taken care of. So, yes, Nate, it will be available on demand after the fact, and we'll probably make it available for up to a couple weeks afterwards. And there's the chimes. I figured they were coming. and here's the list of stuff, man. I kind of figured that's what was going to be coming.
Wonder how bad Josh's phone's blowing up right now.
I hope he's
on a business trip in
I hope it's erupting. Let's John King said no, that was poor promoters can go watch other people's derbies. Keep your notebook handy, I guess, right? That's one of those things. Hey, look, they have the same headaches I do. Let's go down the list. And something else that we've been asked about a lot. We've made some good contacts. I'm working at Mid-Lake School. This is the other thing that not many people knew about.
I did.
Yes, you did. Yes, Brian can raise his hand. There goes Justin, desperately trying to get on camera again. Made some good contacts with an economics teacher at Mid-Lakes High School. Avid outdoorsman. He does a lot of video production with whitetail hunting and does a lot of apparel stuff. And we now, as it's been asked for so many times, on the new website, shop.smashedempire.com, there it is right there. The official.
It's not out here, buddy.
Why not?
I don't know.
What the heck?
You're pushing. There
How
you
about
go.
that? There it is. The Crash Course Podcast T-shirt is available. If you jump on there, we've been working close with GX Graphics, which we've been doing before anyway. And George has been real good in helping get some cars out there. You can jump on again. That's shop.smashedempire.com. You can jump on there and you can find Georgia shirts. And you can find all sorts of stuff from what is going to be one of the new Crash Course partners, Reckless Abandon Apparel, which is, well, actually, you know what?
Now, one of the questions I'm sure you're going to be getting is,
yeah, I did. I imagine I'm going to be up late tonight.
Is will it be possible for people to get signed Crash Course shirts from Josh?
We don't have silver Sharpies available at this point.
Silver Sharpies.
Actually, you know what would be funny?
How about a white shirt?
You know what would be
can
funny?
sign it with a black white
Sharpie.
Sharpie.
Who's Josh Decker? I want Brian Tompkins.
We'll come back to that. What we should do is we should put a link on there on the Smash
Josh's
Empire
home phone?
No, a link to so that we can sell silver Sharpies on there too. But
miss you, Josh. Can't to see you again in 2 weeks, buddy.
Here's another one of the shirts that's coming from those guys. That's one of the ladies' shirts, and that's available for pre-order at this point. And then I want to show you the other Crash Course shirt. We showed you the first one. It's got the old iron car on it.
Mopar.
Yep, it's got the Mopar on it, and here is there's the one with the Ford. And these are available as hoodies as well.
I was going to ask if you had a picture of the hoodie.
Nope. What
That's
we got right there. I mean, we put this together last night. Come on, man, cut me a little bit of a break. I wanted to make sure that the stuff's going to be out there. And this was the one that I'm sure Justin wanted me to show, the one that's got the round back.
Yes.
On the back of it as well. That's available for pre-order.
Looks like somebody's done some pillar parking on it.
Yes, it's had a little bit of abuse, but
everyone
it'll work.
loves wagons.
I'd love to drive through them. I've never got a good pillar shot on a round back.
And of course the
Ooh,
Crash
I like
Course,
that one.
The Crash Course pay-per-view shirt.
I like the blue. I think that's really cool.
Josh Decker is not a fan of that one because he doesn't like blue.
Now, have you broke the news to Josh yet that all these cars will have the number 68 on the door?
No.
Or that was going to be the next executive meeting?
No, that's got to come up still. That's still negotiations with Mr. Decker.
I just wondered. I didn't know how he'd take that.
And
Chris, how's your phone over there? How many messages you got in the last 10 minutes?
Don Dillenberg wants to know when the Dunkirk video is going to get mailed out. I'm working on it. You know, I'm trying to get that one out too. I don't like the delays that come with doing the videos, especially with when we get set back as far as we have. But there's been some other stuff that we've been working on, and I don't mean that as an insult to anybody. I really don't. I've been trying real hard to juggle everything. We got a couple issues of the magazine out. By the way, the Crash Course or the Derby Inc. magazine next release is in the mail right now. So you guys should be seeing those fairly soon. It's a one-man army thing, and I appreciate the support that we get when we go to the shows, and everybody always has the option. If they don't want to order it now, they can wait till it's available online. It is forthcoming. We got the footage from Blizzard Bash here Friday.
Oh, you did get that?
Yep, that stuff's here, and
cool.
that's gonna be a beast too. But we're
really
down to
3 days of demo is gonna take you some time. Huh,
you
buddy?
forgot the fact that it was 4 shows.
Yeah,
because I looked at a couple of the files. It's looking like 16 hours, I think, worth of footage. I gotta chop up and put together.
Somebody asked me how many hours we were on out there, and I said it had to be somewhere between 12 and 16.
Yeah, but then we had our stuff on top of that.
Yeah, well,
Thursday. We were.
But I mean, just a straight pay-per-view was 12 to 16 on there.
Yeah.
Then we did a couple hour-long shows.
Full. Yep.
Because we'd get talking, and all of a sudden Chris would go, "Hey, it's been an hour and a half, and we're going to take a break." And it was just amazing how quick time went.
There goes Joe. Joe had some notes there. Nate Middendorf said the same thing. Yeah, Donald, we're getting through that stuff, It's all going to come out. I've never not put a video out. And
yeah, guys, I'm going to speak for Chris here. And if Chris gets mad at me, that's okay.
Well, Don's not.
No, I know, but just again,
really, everybody's
you know,
been really cool about it this year because they understand. They see the big
well,
picture.
I wouldn't say everybody.
There's been a lot of people that have asked questions and stuff, but it's been a lot different this year than it has in year past. And they understand the big picture thing, what we're trying to do. The goal of all this stuff is that we want to leave the sport better than we found it. Tell me you disagree.
No, I agree. That is our goal. But I also agree that there's some people that are go about things the wrong way and inquiring with you.
Yeah.
And those people need to A, relax, or B, ask for their money back and leave it at that. And to stop trying to make it personal.
Well,
and that's my public service announcement. Back to you, Chris Marker.
Thanks.
Brian Tompkins has spoken.
For whatever that means.
Way to drop the mic on him. Nice job.
Me and CM Punk.
And buy many DVDs. Just don't buy one. His collection is amazing. I buy two or three at a time.
I will say that Wadena was an awesome show. I watched that on the way between Newark and St. Louis. That was a very good show.
I'm running out of fingers. I can't keep up. We've got all sorts of stuff coming in. But Tim from Smash It just jumped on. That was cool. He's on again the website shop.smashedempire.com. You can buy Derby Inc. magazine there. You can buy the videos. You can get fender decals, roof signs. All that stuff is now transitioned off of smashedempiremedia.com right into the actual store. So it's going to be a little bit better in terms of generating receipts, and also the reason why we made the storefront was so that you knew where to go and buy the tickets for the pay-per-view. So it's going to make things a little bit easier that way too.
Cool.
Yup. Exciting.
Very exciting.
It's exciting. I'm very, very happy with everything that we've seen so far, and in 2014, the growth that we've shown and what we've been able to accomplish, and I'm expecting a lot of bigger stuff coming here in 2015 because that's
what you do.
Sky's the limit. I don't know about that. I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. You know, hopefully we can continue.
Hopefully it was worth the wait for everybody.
Obviously it is. I mean, your phone's been dinging and ringing since
I know.
Since you made the announcement.
I feel terrible. I feel terrible.
I just sent Josh a message asking if he was if his phone was blowing up, and I haven't heard back yet. But I would assume, you know, his phone also usually goes off like that when you guys are something big goes on. So
when we're chattering too much about things, I'll post a link up on the show as well, so that you guys can find your way over there. So you like that blue shirt, huh?
I love the blue. Blue is my favorite color. This
is my favorite. This one's only available for pre-order at this point, but I do really like this one here. Let me get it so that we can pull it up real quick. And this is the one that says let me cut to it. There we go. Hashtag Derby Attic. We don't expect you to get it.
Yeah, I like that. That's the Reckless Abandon shirt.
Yeah, that's one of the Reckless Abandon shirts.
Christmas time's coming.
Yes,
absolutely.
Well, that's
great stocking stuffers.
It's going to be. There's Andy Borioff will go in the record book as buying shirt number 1.
Already bought it?
He just messaged me. And Jack Clark, congratulations, awesome, big jump. Rick Clark, and Chris Parent. I've talked about Chris and Chris and Rick both on the show have been very complimentary. We've had a lot of first-time video buyers this year, and Chris Parent is out in the upper Midwest. I don't remember what state. I want to say he was up in North Dakota. He got the video, and he ended up ordering a couple more. Same thing with Mike Ashman, and he said that they're unbelievable. They were way beyond what they expected, because they thought when I said there were 3 camera angles, they're going to watch one track and then second track and third track and the next heat 1 2 track 1 2 3 next heat 1 2 3.
Didn't realize it was all at once.
Yeah, it's edited together, kind of like when you're watching a stock car race or something along those lines. And Rick Clark, when he watched his video from Erie County, Ohio, he messaged me afterwards. He goes, "Dude, that was absolutely awesome. I get now why." It takes time to get these, because I can't even imagine how much time you've got sunk into this, and it was absolutely worth the wait. I'm like, well, that's good to hear, and I appreciate that, but go tell friends.
Hey, not to change the subject, but you're gonna have those 6 models done for me for Christmas, right?
Don't start. What? I don't even. When did we talk about that?
Do you want your money back?
Kansas.
Give him time.
Kansas. Remember you told me?
I don't even remember talking about that. If there was anything after 9:30, I was probably just my head at that point was spinning.
We were in bed sleeping by 9:30 every night we were out there.
I don't remember that part because
we were on air until 1 o'clock in the morning the one night. Forgot about that.
We were up until 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock every night because we had to get our stuff picked up, cleaned up, get back to the hotel, and well, you guys got to go to bed. I was up setting up stuff for the next day, just fixing and
we had to take care of security for Mr. Decker. I mean, that was, autograph seekers.
That was easily the hardest job of the weekend.
Was keeping autograph seekers and
making sure that he was on the grounds.
Yeah, that's it. Guys, I'm gonna go over and take a nap. I'll be back later. Okay, Josh. See you in a while, buddy.
All right.
But Josh also does suffer, unfortunately, from migraines and
terrible migraines.
He was. I know the one day when he did say that he was starting to get a headache, and he went over and slept for a while, and he came back and was able to go for the show that night. But
which was good.
Yes,
we definitely like having Josh there.
But what I was going to touch on earlier when you were mentioning being busy, not being able to getting in cars when we do pay-per-view, is that's the one thing that everybody should have noticed at the pay-per-view was that I would step out, Ben would step out, Kurt or Josh would step out. You were behind your laptop from the national before the national anthem till at the end of the night. Chris was behind his laptop.
I was at the computer about 2 hours before go time because we had to be ready to go for the 1 o'clock or the hour pre-show before that. So I was there about an hour before that started until probably 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes afterwards, especially when we had our stuff here on Finger Lakes 1, because we would try to go through and get the shows posted immediately after they were over with, just like we do here.
Yeah. Yep.
And when we told everybody that we had whatever it was, 4,000 views of that Tech Line show.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. And one of the comments that we heard back on that show was, "It was the same car behind you for better than half of the episode." Well, that did happen too.
Yes, it was.
we can't do much to control that part.
No.
There's not a whole lot of we didn't have our hands involved with that at all. But
no, we went over and stood and watched, and then came back to the sanctity of our table and continued with the show.
And if I know Jeremy Gully is at home cringing right now because I haven't done this yet, because he always tells me how I'm great at promoting other people's stuff, but I was suck at promoting mine. You can get the videos and the magazine and the decals and roof signs and stuff on shop.smashedempire.com. On top of that, if you are interested in having us coming out and doing a live spot, contact us right directly through the Crash Course Facebook page. All the links are out there, or you can message us directly. All that information is on both websites as well, smashedempiremedia.com and shop.smashedempire.com. We would have to talk to you about setting some bookings. We are approaching the full point already for next year, judging off of the pending schedules. What's out there in discussion, but you never know. You never know what's going to come of those or what's next. There's even some conversation about
going to Cancun. You gonna be at Derby in Cancun?
I didn't get that call. Nope. Whitney Point. There was some
Whitney Point, Cancun. It's pretty close.
It's virtually the same thing in June. Virtually. There's some talk about that. There's some more. Basically,
I think
we should just. I need just to get an apartment in Minnesota.
Yeah, we have a very, very loyal following in Minnesota, which is, there's a lot
Iowa,
of great Derby guys up there.
We can't forget. Yeah, Iowa's real good, and
really we kind of do okay most places. We've had supporters from most everywhere. Give us attaboys. Canada, New York, Pennsylvania,
yes,
Ohio, Illinois.
The internationally known Crash Course podcast. Nearly world famous.
So, is there anything else you wanna get out there tonight, Chris?
Not that I could think of.
Are you sure?
No. I think we surprised everybody enough. The thing is, I gotta believe that a lot of the folks that listen at home probably aren't that surprised by it. But I'll take it.
Off and running, man.
Yes.
You were a track star in high school, Chris, and you're running again, brother.
That's right.
Just don't run too fast, because my running days are
Keep calm and leave it tomorrow.
keep.
Did you see that shirt? That
That's
thing
a great
popped up on my
shirt.
Facebook page. I'm like, I don't know what this is.
I got the same thing. It said leave the time or when in doubt, leave the time, or something like that. But
I got a kick out of that. But yes, and our first trip next year, it's not going to be a pay-per-view trip. It is not. Let's make sure that's clear. And I don't want anybody to be confused on this. Our first trip is going to be
Winter Slam.
to Winter Slam, and that'll be a great time up there in
Great
Garden
show.
City. Outdoors, they've got their new rule package in place, and basically everything is full. I mean, if you want to get a spot, you're gonna have to beg, borrow, and steal it.
I'm hoping to see a nasty Thunderbird that runs wide open for the whole show again.
Unless he decides to surprise you with something else.
That's fine. It's because as
You'll
long as
settle.
as long
You'll
as
settle.
he's there, I
As
know
long as-
it's going to be running wide
long
open
as as long as
until
there's
he either wins or it's junk.
As long as there's a green No Limit Motorsports car there from
Absolutely.
Zacharias to Stables, you'll be happy.
I think he should bring his son with him too because he drives
CJ
a lot.
dri-
He
CJ
drives a
does
lot
just
like his
fine.
dad. So the more the merrier. Bring him.
Well, I mean, the thing is better than half the field is new.
Yeah, of course, our buddy Kenny Rosno, WFO Motorsports. will
Now,
be
what's
there.
going on with Kenny Rosno? Because I hear that guy selling out, and he's
No,
telling
he's
us,
not.
yeah, I don't like Kenny.
They all
You know-
sell out to buy new.
Kenny, the only reason you're selling out exactly is because you got a line on cars that are more expensive.
We we were actually talking about tire selection the other night on be back and forth on the thing and what he should try or what he may try, and I gave my 2 cents or whatever it may be worth. Excuse me. And
Am I boring you?
no, late night. I'm just looking forward to it. That was a great show. I'm sure it's only gonna get better. And
Heated beer tent.
heated beer tent.
It's one of the perks of it. And Buster's is heated
Buster's.
afterward too.
Buster's Old Country Buffet.
Oh
yeah,
my
that's
gosh.
right. Look at
Oh yeah,
Clark,
buddy.
we only need one plate. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Oh, that was that trip. The only bad part of that trip was being stuck in Philadelphia for 8 hours
that was rough.
on the way home.
That was rough.
When we awoke and the plane was covered in snow and ice, and we came down out of the sky, and they said, "All right, we're not moving for hours." I think we gave the stewardesses a standing ovation. No, we gave the pilots a standing ovation. Then the stewardess came through and they said something, so I had to get the crowd going again for another standing ovation to get us home.
Yeah, that was a challenging trip home.
Oh yeah,
That was
That
a tough one. We're gonna be busy in Winter Slam.
yeah.
Gonna be busy up there.
By we you mean you?
Yes.
All right, just making
My
sure.
my application reads in-car camera security guy now.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
We'll talk afterwards.
Can you bring us drinks, hot
Can
cocoa
I?
and stuff?
I'll do it on roller skates.
That's what I like to hear.
Well, everything's frozen, so it shouldn't be hard. You
Yeah.
can do ice skates and be just fine.
Absolutely.
I did that for the first time, and I was impressed with myself. Didn't fall once.
Yeah.
Well, when you skate around holding onto the wall the whole way, it's hard to fall.
Well, they do call me Wally. I don't know
I
why.
have no doubt. Oh, that's right. Didn't you get parked on the wall like the first 6 times you ran derbies?
I drove it by myself.
All right, just checking.
Lost brakes. Bad
checking.
story. Just
Chris,
saying.
anything else?
I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what happened. Somehow we got stuck in this. I don't know what this vortex was, but I don't know how to get out of it.
February is busy because we come back from Winter Slam and then we go to
Later on,
Relier's
we go to the Derby banquet.
Derby banquet.
February 28th, my wife's birthday weekend.
I bet you I know where she's going for her birthday.
I know. I'm going to Owego. I don't know where she's going for her birthday.
Jacuzzi room.
I know she came on last year and had a good time. I bought her a drink or two and
Yeah, she's
I
actually
know.
she's really looking forward to it. She's really looking forward to it.
she had fun last year. Seemed to
At
have
least
fun
that's what
last year.
she's telling me, and I'm going to go with it. I'll believe it. I'm
She seemed
sold.
to have fun last year. It was
Yeah, should be a good,
good
time.
time.
Maybe she can join the beer pong tournament for next Imperial. Just saying, Nick. Think about it.
He's always got to make it
don't,
weird.
You don't want that though. You don't want that.
I went to Alfred State.
because you're
I
not
can
winning.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see the total number of people this year because last year we were like 370.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just amazing.
and it's full at 370.
Yeah.
You only put about in terms of
3 more in, I
yeah.
think, total.
Yeah, you can't get much more, but you know what?
Keep coming.
Anybody?
But this is Brett said everybody's welcome. Even if you run out of tickets, you can you can stand
the
at
way
the
that
bar
it was
and
worded,
drink.
the way that it was worded, that they're going to they can guarantee 400 dinners with a sit down spot.
Yes.
You'll have a seat, after that, you'll probably they'll find you something. It might be Cheerios,
Well,
but they'll
last
find
year-
you something, and you're gonna have to eat off your lap in the foyer. But
That's no joke. Last year, Dan O'Connell and I went, and by the time we got upstairs, there was like one seat here and one seat there, and there was. So I said, no problem. When they called the first table, I got my food and went right out into the foyer and sat in one of those kind of big comfy chair like this and pulled the table up in front of me, and it was good.
No, he sat in front of the buffet.
And people would walk by, and I'm like, how come? And
why are you at my table?
why are you at my table? But it's all good.
Yep,
Good in the hood.
this is exciting.
It's
It's going to be a good
exciting.
show. I mean, it's going to be a really good time out there.
I like your ill-tempered 7X.
Yes, ill-tempered.
Good buddy, Sam Bandow.
He messaged me. He said, yeah, he put it right up on the Facebook page too. He asked if the big reveal was a full sponsorship for him next year. I said, I'm afraid that's not the case, Sam. It's probably not the way that's going to go. But it's okay. Good job.
But the thing is he was joking when people call or send messages and they are joking.
Yeah, there's other people that aren't joking.
Yeah,
There's other people that
yeah.
are absolutely not
I want to run
joking.
Metal Mayhem. Could you sponsor me? Yeah, let's get right on that.
Oh, you're not going to sponsor me, Chris?
No.
I was thinking Reckless Abandon on my car would be fantastic.
Oh, I probably would. Go ahead and print the stickers.
Yeah, go find the person in charge of it.
Hi, Chris.
That's a like I said, that's Sleeman Designs is a main part of that, and then I did some designs with some of the stuff that George Highnote had put together that we ended up using for Wadena back in August, and tweaked a few things and was able to get some stuff together, and there we go, off and run. But well, it feels like I got a load off there. It was tough to keep that secret. I told a few people about it and that were coming, and just kind of basically just to gauge the feelers, see what people thought.
What do people think?
Oh, they thought it was cool. They
What-
were pretty much on board with it, and hopefully the reception that we get off it tonight is equally as positive. We're looking forward to it, and we're trying to bring our program to the next level and answer the demand of what so many people have asked for through the last year. And it seems like people enjoyed it when we were as a team on the pay-per-views other places, and now we're going to give it a try and get out on our own a little bit and do some of the shows out here in our neck of the woods and some of the other shows that weren't able to get that exposure otherwise. But at the same time, we've done this for an hour and 15 minutes. I think we've pretty much
Covered
all the bases that we wanted to hit. Again, we'll have some more links out there for you coming up here in a little bit. We appreciate everybody listening, and looks like we had, if these numbers are correct, we had somewhere around 100 people listening live tonight. So we appreciate that a ton,
awesome.
immensely, and we've only got good things to come. We appreciate all the support that we've had here for the last
year and a month.
last year and more for everything that we've been working on, and look forward to next year. Should be a lot of fun. Appreciate it, and we're going to be back here next week. Thanks a lot, guys. That's going to do it for us.